Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Stretch to Sketch, which I'm combining today with Use the Stuff. Stretch to Sketch is where we take a 12 by 12 sketch and we create a layout in a larger or smaller size. It doesn't matter which way you go as long as it's not in a 12 by 12 format. This is the sketch from Kelly Hollifield. I believe that's how you say that. And I am staying pretty true to the sketch. I am pulling out some old papers like this, My Mind's Eye from, I don't know, 2013 or 14, and this Pebbles piece, which is pretty old. This piece is super old. I don't even know where it's from. And then I've got some newer, Bungalow Lane is not brand new, but it is newer. And then there was a piece from Brighton from Bo Bunny, which is one of their newer collections, like within the last year. And then, or last 6 months, I should say. And then just mixing up the two. Now for Use the Sketch, MK and I have been doing this series all month long. Basically, we are trying to use up a lot of stuff that is in our stash, rather than creating our own embellishments using dies and punches and maybe your Silhouette or your Cricut machine. We are trying to use the prepackaged stuff because we both have quite an abundance of it, and we will be having a new series, well, not a new series, but we will be doing Kit Conspiracy in the fall, and that means we have some new product coming in. Got to make room for the new product. And you really do want to get those embellishments that you spent your good hard-earned money on into an album rather than sitting on your shelf, because they're going to look so much better in an album. And that's what you bought it for, right? At least that's what I bought it for. So trying to go ahead and use up some of that rather than creating my own stuff. I have nothing against creating my own. I do it all the time, and that is part of the problem. It means that I've kind of forgotten to pull out the prepackaged stuff. So we're using it, and I'm probably going to be doing this all the way into the throughout August as well, because I just need to keep making a dent in what I have. Okay, so I am taking these papers. I have cut the vertical ones in about, I think they're 3-inch strips. Yeah, they're 3-inch strips. And then I cut a 6 by 3-inch strip off of the patterned paper, and then I cut it in half so that you get a 6 by 3 on each page. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut those up. So you have that little piece at the top, and then I'll be able to poke the piece that's behind the photographs down at the bottom of the layout, rather than cutting a whole nother piece. Now, yeah, I am trying to use the stuff, so I don't need to hoard the paper either, because the paper looks better in the album as well rather than on your shelf. But I also don't want to needlessly use it just because it will go in my scrap bin and I can use it for another layout in his album. So I've got lots of photos that probably would go great with these colors and such. So, and yellow is one of those colors I don't have a lot of for some reason. So using it and then putting the scraps in my scrap bin works great. And then I also do some layouts where I just work solely from my scrap bin. So there will be that as well, just not this month. Okay, I'm staying pretty true to the sketch there, except that I am meeting the 2 pages up in the middle. It just so happened that my 6 photos were all in a portrait orientation versus landscape. And so it worked really, really well for this particular layout and this particular sketch. So I'm really liking the way that that's looking. I am inking everything up with a little bit of Juniper Mist ink from Catherine Pooler. And I'm liking the way that that's looking. It's a navy blue. It brings in those darker tones, just like the navy blue stripe that you see there at the bottom from that Jen Hadfield piece of paper. It does have what look like little houses on it, but if you turn it over, they kind of look like pennants. You could use it either way, I suppose. And then I just cut one of these pieces of paper to have that fishtail look, but the others I just copied the original one. The first one I did on my trimmer, so I know I had it centered, and then the rest of them I just as you see here, I'm holding one up and just trimming it out to match. So I'm liking how this is coming together so far. The piece of paper from Pebbles, that light blue piece, it has little, oh my goodness, nursery rhyme type sayings on it. And so I wanted some of the darker blue ones to show up. The lighter blue ones are fine too, but I wanted a couple of the darker blue ones to show up. So I kind of maneuvered my papers around so that you can see some of that darker writing, and it kind of ties it together because it's got the darker color on it as well. And so what I'm doing here is I'm eyeballing these first two, and then the third piece I am kind of measuring against a strip of paper so I can kind of make sure I have kind of the same amount of gap between them as the first two. And then I'm just going to use my T-square ruler to bring it down below. And I don't necessarily care that they are all the same length. I actually kind of want them to be a little bit different in length. And so you're going to see that some are shorter than the others, and that's okay. It provides a little bit of movement across the page. That's not a vast difference or anything, so it doesn't look crazy, but it does look kind of intentional. It doesn't look like I just accidentally put them in there incorrectly. And then I am just bringing my papers top to top, and I am just copying what I did on the opposite page so that I don't have to sit there and do any measurements or anything like that. So I'm kind of cheating the system and making it really easy on myself by doing it that way. I decided to keep it with this pattern of the more solid, then the polka dot, and then the one with the diamonds on each page. I like the way that that looks, so I decided that's what I'm going to go with. The photographs are taken one right after the other, so it's definitely a series. Now he is moving, you can see, because he's got something in his mouth in the first one, and in the last one he doesn't, but it's just the progression of his facial expressions that I really wanted to capture. And I apologize that you don't get to see those. I just have his face covered for privacy purposes to respect him and his family's wishes. So, well, I don't know about his wishes, but his family's wishes. So I'm not sure he even cares at this point. But I do at one point peek under there to make sure that I had them in the right order. And in fact, I ended up going through and writing the numbers on the back to make sure that I got them in the right order. And I didn't have to keep checking underneath that Post-it note. Okay, also, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I got white Post-its, which is so much nicer than those pink ones, so it's not nearly as distracting, so hopefully that is a good thing. I have this yellow ribbon, which I thought was perfect. It's got, I don't know what this stuff is called, because what it looks like is you put it in the seam of two other pieces of fabric, and then it has like this beading on it. It's not really a bead, like as in a plastic bead, but it's like a rounded portion of it. So what I'm doing is the flat portion I am attaching to the paper. The little rounded portion I am letting stick out, and I really like it. It adds a unique texture, and it's just really pretty looking. I've used it before. This is the last that I have of it in this color. I might have some in a different color, but not very much anyway. I do like it, and I think it looks really cool. So I am attaching it with my ATG. I did use some liquid glue on the ends of each one where I know I'm going to cut it so that it doesn't fray, because this stuff frays really badly. And now I have two packages of these really old Heidi Swapp banners, and since there's a banner on this particular, or bunting, whatever you want to call it, I guess those are more like a bunting, and the vertical pieces in yellow would be more like banner flags. I'm not sure, but since the sketch has that on it, I decided to just go with it and use these bunting pieces from Heidi Swapp because I really like the way that they look. The neatest thing about them is they're white. They've got a resist pattern on them. So all I have to do is go ink them up and then wipe them off, and the white pattern will still show. And they'll be turned whatever color I decide to use. In this case, I decided to use a combination of two different blues. So you're going to see that here in just a bit. Now my photos, I'm not lining them up perfectly. I am kind of staggering them a little bit, making it a little bit more fun and a little less formal, because this is not really a formal type of layout. They're not formal photos of any kind. They're not in a unique setting. He's not dressed up. They're not a portrait taken at a portrait studio or by a portrait or a photographer out in a beautiful field or anything. They're just snapshots I took at his house, and he's making cute little faces. So let's just have fun with it and make it more playful. So that's what I decided to do. So here you can see I am just lining up my 2 pieces of blue here with that yellow on it. And I'm going to make them, this one just a tiny bit higher because my papers needed to be adjusted there. Anyway, and then I will trim off that yellow piece that is sticking out, but there is glue still drying on the end of it so that it doesn't fray the end where it meets the edge of the paper, because I don't want that to come apart. So now that's dry, I can go ahead and see, I'm going to add a little bit more glue just to be sure that it does not fray. So here I am using some Distress Oxide ink in tumbled glass, and I think I pulled out the chipped sapphire as well. Either that, actually, you know what I did? I think I just ended up using the dauber that had the dark blue on it from the leftover Catherine Pooler ink in Juniper Mist to have a little variation so that there are some dark areas and some light areas. Yep, it's Juniper Mist. And I'm just mixing it here, going over the 2. I know you're not really supposed to mix your oxides and your other inks. I'm not re-dipping into the oxide with the same sponge. It is the same sponge that I had already used, but I'm sure it is actually probably picking up some of the oxide ink off of those flags. I'm not going to worry about it. I don't think I would go directly from one ink pad to the other, but if it picks up some of the ink off of the pieces that I'm inking up, there's not a whole lot I can do about that. So I'm just going to not worry about it. Okay, so I've inked those up, and I'm liking the way that that looks. It brings in the lighter blues and it brings in the darker blues. And then I am pulling out some different pieces from a couple of ephemera packs. So I had this sticker sheet that says looks like fall on it, and I've had it for a long time. I don't even know where it's from, but that the yellow sticker that I'm putting with this blue sticker that I'm inking right now is off of that sheet. So I'm really glad to get that used, because that's something that's been in my stash for ages. And I'm going to layer those 2 up in the bottom right. And then my banner flags, I'm popping them up onto some foam tape. And then there's a bunch of baby stuff out. I have just a bin of random baby boy items. And so I just kind of looked through that to see what I had. I am wiping off these little flags there so it shows the white writing a little bit better. I have this little piece that said baby boy. I'm going to use those letters to write baby boy right on this banner, and I think that looks good. And it gets that little piece out of my stash. Now the little florals that you see there, those are from one of the newer Maggie Holmes collections. Let's see here. Maybe it's not Maggie Holmes. Maybe it is Crate Paper. It might be Gingham Gardens. I'm not 100% sure, but it is the one that is currently like at Joann's. So it's not really old. I just happened to pick it up because it's random florals. I don't have much else from that collection, except maybe like a cut apart sheet. And then I use most of it on this particular layout, so I'm really happy about that. And then I pulled out these older thickers that are white with a blue writing or blue line in the middle of them. I thought that works really well. It's the same colors, and I'm using up some thickers. And look, I didn't even need any A's or E's because I'm not even sure if I had any of those, but it worked to put 6 months because he is 6 months in these photos, and I thought that was perfect. But I do have to use a little liquid glue to adhere that down because they are, well, they're chipboard thickers, and we all know how well they like to stick. So now I am just adding a little liquid glue to the underneath the banner here, or the bunting, to adhere the foam to the layout so that it stays. And then I'm just trying to figure out the placement of these florals. That last little bunting flag on the right hand side does not have any foam under it. I let that go flat to the page because I didn't want to have to put a bunch of foam under all these flowers. So I think that works well. The little florals work well there. And then I have a couple of little stickers that are in reference to a baby boy that I decided to tuck in as well. And I really like the way that that looks. So I'm going to do the same up on this upper left-hand corner. While I work on that, don't forget to check out everyone else who's playing along with Stretch to Sketch. Their links will be down below for you. We've had a really fun time. I think what are we on, year 5? I don't know. We just celebrated this in May, and I can't even remember. But there's a lot of inspiration for Stretch to Sketch available. I will put a playlist for all of my layouts that I've done for Stretch to Sketch over the years at the end of this video, so that you can click on that if you're interested in that. And don't forget to go check out what MK's got going on her channel with regard to Use This Stuff. So those little word stickers, one says big smiles. I'm going to add a little blue one in that bottom right hand corner that says little guy. And then up in this cluster I'm currently working on, I'm going to add a blue one that says so fun. So I think that's really cute, and just adds a little extra detail to this particular layout and to the embellishment clusters. I really like the way that that's looking. I also have these die cut diaper pins I'm going to be pulling out in a minute here. And I wasn't really sure what to do with them. I didn't like them as a whole because they are solid. And so what I did was I fussy cut the center out of them, so they're not a solid anymore. And so I'll be using those. I am adding a couple extra leaves in this kind of greenish yellow just to have a different shade there, and it kind of goes with the center of the yellow flower, brings in that color. So I also pulled out some puffy Felicity Jane stickers. I'm just using the hearts off of them. There were 2 hearts in 2 different shades of blue, and they each had an outline. So I put the outline for one in one corner and the center for the other one in that corner, so that it both colors of blue are represented down there and it doesn't look like it's lopsided. And there's those little safety pins, and that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love a thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe as well. If you have questions or comments, you can leave those down below. I'm a little bit slow at responding right now, but I will get back to you and respond as quickly as I can. So thank you for that. And I know that you guys have a lot of options out there, and I just appreciate the time that you have spent with me today. I'll be back again on Wednesday with another video. See you then. Bye-bye.